All right, today we are opening a case file on a tiny invader, but one with absolutely massive consequences. Our story kicks off back in 1999. What should have been just another routine harvest, well, it very quickly turned into a full-blown economic disaster.
Just look at that number, 40%. That is how much of the entire annual fig harvest in Sao Paulo, Brazil, was just gone. It felt like it happened overnight. The financial hit was huge, of course, but the real question on everyone's mind was what, or maybe who, was responsible for this? So the search was on, but they were looking for a perpetrator that was almost invisible. The culprit, this unknown invader, was only 3 millimeters long. Think about that. A creature that small had just brought a major agricultural industry to its knees. Okay, so we've got a disaster in the harvest. First order of business for the investigators? Identify the suspect. They had to figure out exactly what they were dealing with, and fast.
And here it is. Meet our culprit, Zaprionus indianus. You can call it the African fig fly. Scientists figured it out pretty quickly, but here's the kicker. This fly is native to the Afrotropical region. It had never been seen in South America before. This wasn't just some local pest having a good year. This was a brand new invader.
So let's take a look at the official mugshot. The suspect is tiny, right? About 3 millimeters. It's got these really noticeable red eyes and a brown body. But the real dead giveaway, the thing that makes it totally unmistakable, are those two prominent white stripes, outlined in black, running right down its head and back. Seriously, once you see them, you'll never unsee them. All right, so we've got our suspect. Now for the next big question in the investigation, and it's a huge one. How on earth did a tiny fly from Africa make it all the way across the Atlantic Ocean? The first big break in the case came from the lab. DNA analysis, all the genetic markers, they all pointed to one place. The original flies, the patient zeros, if you will, came from Africa. And the evidence was overwhelming that they didn't fly there themselves. They were stowaways. So the investigators started piecing it all together. The most likely scenario? This little fly was a clandestine passenger. It hitched a ride, probably hidden away in a shipment of fruit coming across the Atlantic, and its port of entry was likely the port of Santos, which is one of Brazil's biggest, busiest commercial hubs. It's a classic story, really, an accidental but totally devastating consequence of our modern global trade. But, just arriving in Brazil is only half the story. The real question is, how did it spread so far so unbelievably fast? Well, the answer is kind of brilliant. It didn't use its own wings, it used our own infrastructure. It basically turned our own systems against us. Just look at this timeline. It's staggering. By hopping on fruit trucks, this little guy colonized pretty much an entire continent in just a handful of years. From that first beachhead in Sao Paulo in '99, it just exploded. By 2005, it was all the way up in Florida. It's an incredible and kind of scary testament to how fast an invasion can happen in the modern world. Okay, so this brings us to the next part of the investigation. We know how it got there and how it spread. Now we need to know why it was so successful. What's the secret sauce that makes this tiny fly such a super invader? So what exactly are its biological superpowers? As scientists dug deeper, they found that this fly has a perfect toolkit for world domination. It really comes down to 3 key things that make it a near-perfect invasive species. Superpower number 1, it is not a picky eater. Not at all. This fly is what we call an extreme generalist. While other flies might need a specific type of fruit, this one, it can feed and reproduce on more than 80 different kinds of plants. That's a huge menu. And here's the really clever part. It's not even really eating the fruit itself. Nope, it's after the microorganisms that grow on rotting fruit, especially a type of yeast called Candida tropicalis. And guess what? Rotting fruit and yeast are pretty much everywhere on the planet. Its food source is basically unlimited. Okay, superpower number 2. It uses a biological tactic called the R strategy. Now, what does that mean? Basically, it's all about quantity over quality. Instead of having just a few babies and taking care of them, it just produces an insane number of offspring super fast. It's a biological colonization machine designed to just completely overwhelm a new place before anyone even knows what's happening. So it sounds pretty unstoppable, right? But here's the twist. This super invader wasn't invincible. The investigation finally uncovered a critical vulnerability, a classic Achilles heel. And that weakness? It's the cold. At its heart, this is a tropical fly, and the science is clear. When the temperature drops, everything slows down for them. But get this, at around 15 degrees Celsius, which is about 59 Fahrenheit, the males become completely sterile. No more babies. Game over. But wait a minute. That just raises another question, doesn't it? We've seen it invade all the way up to Florida, and it's found in other temperate places with cold winters. So if the cold is its kryptonite, how in the world is it surviving in these places? The answer is its final superpower, something called genetic plasticity. In simple terms, it means this species is incredibly adaptable. It can literally change over generations. Populations can evolve to handle new climates, new challenges, and scientists can actually watch this happen in real time by tracking genetic markers, like these things called esterases, which show how the fly is adapting to everything from the weather to the pesticides we throw at it. So the verdict is in. The case of the clandestine passenger is a really powerful lesson for all of us. It shows just how interconnected our world is, how a single shipment in global trade can accidentally unleash a tiny organism that completely redraws the ecological map of a continent. It's a pretty sobering thought. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought. Now that you know what you're looking for, now that you've seen the mugshot with those distinct white stripes, maybe take a closer look at the fruit in your kitchen. Who knows? You might just spot this tiny, clandestine passenger for yourself.